Now we're going to go inside. This is the front door. It has this really nice uh, security screen on it, much stouter than any screen door I've ever had before. We, my dad and I, installed these new locks. They're better than the doorknobs that were on there before. A little light on there. It's pretty nice. I like that I can lock the deadbolt on this now. And then my dad and I installed this here. It wasn't there before. We had a regular doorknob here, and I believe that doorknob locks are just about useless. A deadbolt like this is more secure, so we took that that doorknob out, put this in instead. This door looks like it's made of wood, but it's actually solid steel with a, a laminate of like a car wrap kind of what looks like wood put over it by the previous owner. He did car wraps on cars and buildings and custom signs for a living. And this is a Batman mat that my sister got me for a housewarming gift. This mat out here came with the house, in fact. It's a rubber mat. But this is the only other step in the house. This was the original color of the house here. And then we repainted it and came really close. We got paint from a place called Habitat for Humanity Restore, where you can get house supplies real cheap because they're left over from Habitat for Humanity house building projects. They were all donated to Habitat for Humanity, so then they sell it at a major discount to help fund their programs and stuff. This is a tie-dye that I made when I was in high school in art class. I didn't really want to do the whole rainbow, goofy-looking tie-dye thing, so I made this instead. You can see the door is definitely steel because that's a magnet holding that on there. And, oh man, there's just so much to show. This is the picture I found online. This is what the street we live on looked like back when the house was built. This map here. So I put that up there. I couldn't find any photographs of the street anywhere online from then, but I found this picture of downtown Las Vegas from 1961. That was pretty cool. What this town looked like when the people who built this house lived here. Nice little bit of history there. That is the master bedroom in here. It's a little bit messy, but that tends to happen when you live somewhere for a while. We've been here since January of this year. We've had that for a long time. This was a wedding present many years ago. There used to be a little bale and a little plastic chick in there, but those fell off a long time ago. My mom crocheted that for us as a wedding present. This, believe it or not, is where the washing machine is for clothes washing. And a lot of the lights in the closets turn on with pull strings like that. And this is an old clothes washer, but it works very well. Saved us a lot of money over having to buy one. And this is all set up for me already when we moved in. I repainted it with Kills, so it's a little brighter in here. It's not that yellow. That's that. It's kind of neat that it closes away. What they did was, I think they tried to minimize the amount of water pipe that they had to install, because the clothes washer and then the air conditioner and the water heater. There's the air conditioner working away, doing its job. It works pretty well. It's an older one. The main unit on top has been replaced back in the 80s, they said. It's fairly efficient. I'm sure there's more efficient ones out there, but we'll put a new one in someday, I'm sure. My dad and I cut this hole in the bottom of the pegboard that this door's made of, because before we put that hole in there, the air return vent would suck the doors and almost pull them off the hinges, almost pull them off the slide when the air conditioner would come on. There's our relatively new water heater. That was a bonus. We were glad to see this. We shouldn't need a new one for a while. This has a pull string light too. Comes on. I keep this relatively clean in here, and because it keeps the air cleaner, the air return vent clean. Nothing leaks, thank God. So far, so good. And then this is the bathroom, all on the same wall, along with everything else. There's one bathroom in this house, partly why we got such a good deal on it. This used to be a skylight, but when they replaced the roof, they said it was going to cost significantly more to replace the skylight and make it so they could guarantee it wouldn't leak. So we said, "Now just cover it over, seal it and cover it over. We don't really need to." You never could really see, you couldn't see the sky through it anyway. It was just kind of a dull orange glow when the sun was shining. But this was all here when we moved in. I mean, I put the decorations up, but as far as all this work had already been done, I would say probably in the maybe late 90s, judging by the art style of the cabinets and stuff. This is actual stone, like rose quartz or something, she said. And the toilet was already here. It's a relatively new toilet. The tub is not new. The tub is original to the house, so it's seen better days. But it doesn't leak, and it's not rusty. You know, they did replace the faucet where it comes in, and the knob, and then I replaced the shower head. I wasn't really impressed with the old shower head. It was kind of a funky looking thing because it was original to the house, but I didn't like it. I didn't like the way it worked, so I took it out. But all this tile work is already done. We saved ourselves a lot of trouble. We did repaint the inside of the house, most of it. All the walls that had any damage to them, any wear and tear, scratches and so forth, we repainted ourselves. And this cabinet was already here. And then this long hallway is lit by this light. Turns on and off with this knob. So I'll show you we'll finish the exploration of the plumbing system as long as I'm talking about it. And then on the same wall over here we have these spouts, which we capped off. So we couldn't decide what to do with them, what to use them for. I think before they put this new cabinet system in the sometime in the 90s, that the original dishwasher used to sit here on wheels, and you had it hooked up with hoses. Either the dishwasher or possibly even the original clothes washer, because my great grandma used to have one that you had to hook up every time you used it, and that could be too. But water does flow to those, so I had to cap them off. So nobody turned them on and flooded the kitchen accidentally. We replaced the dishwasher because the one that they had in the house when we bought it wouldn't shut off. They told us about that, fortunately. They told us about most of the problems that this house has, and has very few of them that we've discovered so far. And this is all new. They installed this, The faucet was new recently. It's a good little faucet. The plumbing system is a little interesting. It works. It doesn't leak, so that's the main thing. But I'm no plumber, so I can't really judge it too harshly, I guess. It's just kind of funny how they did it, and how the dishwasher plugs in clear over here with an extension cord. It's a little odd, but it works. It's fully functional. There's the hot water line over there, and then the cold water line, the stopcock, we turn it on and off, is over here. It's when they built the cabinets, I guess. They were determined to use this cabinet setup the way it is, regardless of where those plumbing pipes were. There you go. Oops, that was loud, sorry. And this refrigerator was already here. It's an older refrigerator, but it gets the job done. It's just your basic, GE refrigerator, but it works. One thing I really like about it, that made me decide to keep it, was this. I've never seen this before on a refrigerator I've had. You can control the freezer temperature and the refrigerator part separately. Pretty nice, Took me a while to figure out what setting I wanted on. when I first started messing with it, it was freezing things in the refrigerator part, so I had to adjust that. And then these ceiling fans were already here. They are remote control, believe it or not, which is pretty cool. Had to replace the bulbs, of course. But, oh, let's go back over here. Um, Here is the kitchen stove. It's electric. Everything in the house is electric. There's no gas. There's a gas hookup outdoors, but it's been capped off. It can be recommissioned. It's not ruined or anything. But it's just turned off, so we don't have to pay any natural gas bill, which is nice. Somebody got a little overzealous scrubbing here and scrubbed off all the decoration, all the decal. So I wrote on there to remind myself with a Sharpie, so I can tell what I'm turning on. This platter was already in the house. I'm using it to hold plants now. We didn't do a whole lot of entertaining. This is just a baggie of strawberry seeds that I'm trying to get to germinate. And this is the original stove. Now the electric stove here and the oven, electric oven, these are original to the house. These have been in the house since the 60s, but they still work perfectly fine. They reinstalled them when they built the new cabinets. Had to do a little cleaning in here, but otherwise it was good to go. It gets really hot. This is a really powerful, wonderful little oven. We really like using it. It could be a little bigger, but we really like how powerful it is. This is kind of cool. They put one of those Lazy Susan things in here, so you can spin it around. That's nice. That's the other great thing about these cabinets is it has these really good hinge systems. It's pretty solid. And they put the metal pieces. This is particle board, unfortunately, but this is metal. The part that wears out is all metal, so I like that. Now I guess the drawer fronts is solid wood, but then the framework. Some of the parts that are not structural on the framework, they're just kind of there. The surrounds are particle board. The structural is solid wood, so that's good. But yeah, these cabinets were more work than I would have had to put up with, or more expense than I would have had to have someone else install for me. So I'm glad they're already here. But you can see that gentle slope of the roof here on the inside. There's no attic to this house, just fine. No attic and no basement. That was a popular thing to do at the time. And then here's a little hall closet. This hall closet, for some reason, has a locking doorknob on it. I don't know if they were keeping medication in here and they didn't want their kids getting in there when they were little. I don't know. But it had all these nice shelves in here to start with. We didn't have to install those either. That was good. Oh, over here. I'm trying to move slowly here. I don't want to give anybody whiplash. This is, well, we've decided to make it the coat closet. Put all of our coats. We probably have too many coats and I probably have too many hats, but that's how it goes. But in here you can see the original floor. This is what all the flooring was like in the house back in the 60s, before they put carpet down and before they put this terracotta tile down. They put this down in the 80s, they said, and then they just left it in the closet like it is. It's just, but the tile is still intact underneath the carpets. So they say, if you spill something on the carpet, don't panic, because it's not going to soak into underneath. And underneath is actually concrete. This house does not have wooden floors. In the original parts of the house, it has concrete floors. So in the main part of the house, we don't have to worry about, the floor rotting out, which is a major problem, in bathrooms and stuff, kitchens. Not going to be our problem. And we have this huge sliding closet door. Both sides of the closet had sliding doors like that, but the other side I'll show you here in a minute. The doors kept falling off the track, so we just put curtains up instead. But they already installed several years ago a closet organizing system. These are not cheap either. So I'm glad this is already done for us. Not cheap and not easy to do. So it's already got that installed. I love that. This is one of the biggest closets we've ever had. We've always had little apartments all the time we've been married. And this curtain, we put this up ourselves, of course. The easiest way to solve that door problem. But then, let's see here. This curtain here opens up to the foam insulation that I've put here because it was getting so blessed hot in here in the afternoons this summer. I finally got tired of it and decided to do something about it. Went and got me some Owens Corning foam insulation boards, you know, and just insulated the window. It would be too expensive to remove the window, and we might someday need to open the window, you know. Maybe this winter when it gets cooled off, I might take it down temporarily, put the foam boards in the closet or something, so we can open the window and air the room out once in a while. But in the summertime, that's where they're going to live. The room was this dark purple originally on this wall and the closet wall. I repainted parts of this wall a lighter color to kind of lighten the room up a little bit. I was going to do the entire wall, but I ran out of paint. Decided to just leave the middle like that. The house has air conditioning vents, you know, HVAC vents up on the walls, which I like. I like that better than having it in the floor. You know, when they're in the floor, they get full of dirt, you know, and you step on them and hurt your feet, and it's just not good. I like this much better, having them up on the walls like that. And it had these globe lights in a lot of the light fixtures already. It's just a simple little thermostat, nothing complicated. Just what I prefer. I might be a computer guy, but I do like to have the things that I rely upon to be as simple as possible. Oh, I can see myself in a mirror that I put behind the cabinet there in the kitchen. That was stuck in a closet when we bought the house. I didn't know what else to do with it. Didn't really want to hang it up anywhere, so put it back there. You know, kind of like you see in bars and delis and things like that. This is the spare bedroom. This also had a sliding door. Used to have a mural of a car on it that the previous owner installed. But it wouldn't stay on its tracks either. It kept falling off the tracks. So I said, the heck with it, and put up curtains. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just got to change things, and sometimes the simplest solution is best. That sheet I've had since Empire Strikes Back came out, the movie. And I decided to retire the sheet. I didn't want to throw it away, but I also didn't want to ruin it by washing it so much. So I hung it up. Little wall decoration there. I have all sorts of eclectic decorations in the house, as you can see. A lot of it's mine, some of it's my wife's. Like that Chatter telephone is hers, for example. I decided to display these boxes that some of my big toys came in, you know, because they're pretty cool. Every time you open the curtain, there they are. And then there's my Atari, which still works for the most part. I've had ever since it came out. You know, and we put these plastic shelves in here. And let's see. That mirror I got from my grandma a few years ago. Anyway, and then I've had this piece of furniture here since I was in high school, that little chest of drawers. The rest of the matching furniture for that is at my parents' house, well, at their new house. They moved for the first time in my life a few years ago. And this is an original window to the house. It's a similar window in the master bedroom as well. It's an aluminum frame window. Not the most efficient, of course, but we'll replace it someday. We've already had to replace the pane in the kitchen as it broke. As you can see, the backyard, which we'll go to in another video. And then This sticker is just something that the our other owner put up as I think this is the name of his company or something for his custom wraps and vinyl stickers company. Has this cute little sconce up there, which is nice. And then in here, you have a fluorescent light. I replaced the fluorescent bulbs earlier, about a month ago or so, with LED ones that will snap into the same sockets, which is a nice thing. Never been a big fan of incandescent or fluorescent bulbs. Ever since LED came along, I was all for it. All of the lights in my house are LED. Here's the living room with those, uh, remote control lights, and of course all of the wonderful collection that my wife and I have gotten over the many years. Everything here has a story of some kind, as you can probably imagine. That's a futon there. It's a wooden frame futon that folds out. This coffee table raises up. It's on hinges, so you can make it table height when you're eating and watching TV, as we tend to do. That Afghan I've had since I was about 5 or 6 years old. It's practically a new condition because it's just made so well. Over here, I could talk about each of the areas of this house, the decorations and stuff, in their own videos. My Batman collection over here. Batman cars, posters. That Robin comic book had that poster of Robin in it. Done by one of my favorite artists, Neil Adams. I actually met him at a convention a few years ago. This over here is something really special. My wife and I went on a trip earlier this year in June and July to New Zealand and Australia. This is some of the memorabilia from that wonderful trip. I'll never forget it. We're going to have to go back again someday because we only saw a tiny fraction of those two wonderful countries. The main thing I wanted to see was the Hobbiton movie set and some of the other Lord of the Rings movie stuff, of course. I've read the books for years and years. And of course, I've seen all the movies many times. This is actually cloth. This is a dish towel, which was a brilliant idea, I think. It looks fantastic. And it's going to last a long time. This is the brochure they gave us on the trip when we got there at the Hobbiton movie set. That's what the brochure looks like. And then I took these pictures. Well, my wife had taken these pictures, and one of the tour guides took that one of us. We went to the weather workshop as well, down in Wellington. I took this picture. One of the pictures I'm a little bit proud of. I think it really came out amazingly well on my little digital camera. This picture didn't turn out quite as well, but it's a little bit bigger. And then this one. It was hard to get pictures inside the Green Dragon Inn because it was kind of dark in there, but the ambiance was incredible. And anything you've ever heard, any good things you've ever heard about the Green Dragon Inn, the banquet tour, the Green Dragon Inn and the Hobbiton movie set are all true. It is absolutely incredible. Worth seeing. I would go back. If we ever find ourselves in New Zealand again, I will go back. Well, for one thing, because they're adding on. They're adding some new hobbit holes in there that you'll be able to walk through standing up all the way through the whole thing instead of just being on the outside, because all these hobbit holes you can only see the outsides of them currently. They didn't make it accessible on the inside. A lot of that was done on sound stages for the films, but we're working on some where you'll actually be able to walk all the way through the things, and that would be unbelievable. That would be worth going back for. And then over here, I have the displays of some of my other hobbies / passions, comic books, Some of these are relatively new. Some of them are very old. This is my oldest comic book currently. That is the debut of Poison Ivy. Her first appearance. This one's kind of good because, you know, a big deal to me. It's signed by Chris Claremont. I mean, there's a lot of really good ones here. There's an old Turtles. This is my first Darth Vader that I got as a kid, the large size. The lightsaber is not original, but it was custom made by a friend of mine. I could just go on and on. Anyway, just wanted to show a little bit of it. This needs its own video, honestly. Some of this is relatively new stuff. Like this is a pretty new guy here, new Stormtrooper. Some of it is figures I've had since I was 5 years old. 5 or 6 years old, like the C-3PO and R2-D2. Those are the first 2 action figures I ever got that were Star Wars. So they're pretty precious, you know. On the books. Now we do read these books. I just move the action figures and stuff out of the way when I want to get to a book. That's not a big deal. Just sit it over on a coffee table, out of the way, get the book out I want, you know, and then put it back. They're not just there for display. This TV is a dumb TV. It does not have a built-in computer for running streaming services. I have to plug a Amazon Fire Stick into it. These are emulators because my old consoles have kind of quit working. They're not reliable anymore. Well, the Genesis 3 is not an emulator, but the other ones are. But that one is Nintendo and Super Nintendo, and this one is Atari 2600. But they play all of my old original cartridges, which is pretty cool. There is my first and only video game console that I had until I was in college, actually. From the time I was like, I don't know, 7 years old until I was in college, that was the console I played. And it still works. The video is not very good on it anymore, so I use the emulator instead. This thing's starting to get brittle and fall apart on me. I've taken it apart and cleaned it many times over the years, trying to keep it working, because it gets full of dust, you know, like electronics do. And when electronics get full of dust, they get hot and then they don't work properly. So you open it up on the bottom with screws and try to carefully clean it. Well, over the years, parts that I've gotten, you know, 45 years old and brittle have broken on me, so I don't use it anymore. I can't bring myself to get rid of it, though. It's too much of a big deal in my life. These are all my games. Some of them are ones I've gotten at stores, but the vast majority of them are ones that I got, you know, from as Christmas presents, birthday presents, you know, rewards for doing a good job on things as a kid. This game is actually a homebrew game. This was made by a friend of mine. This is an excellent game, turn-based strategy game or role-playing game. Amazing. Also deserves its own video. There's probably my favorite Atari game of all time right there, Defender. That in my opinion is the best version of Defender ever made, and I will stand on that hill. I will die on that hill. You know what I mean? And then my second favorite Atari game is Empire Strikes Back. One of the best Star Wars games ever made. I've made some, this is original art of my own. I made homages. This is a Defender and this ship pulling one of the humanoids up, and her dog, a little dog too, you know. And then here's the Defender ship getting ready to zap the lander and rescue her. And then this is Empire Strikes Back video game. The AT-ATs turn colors depending on how much damage they've taken from you blasting them. So I tried to capture that concept. And it really is that colorful. The sky is kind of pink and the ground is blue and different shades of blue. Otherwise, it would just be black and white. You know, it wouldn't be very exciting on a video game. Anyway, my goodness, I could talk about all this for ages. Sega Genesis, Nintendo, Super Nintendo. The consoles that originally played those don't work anymore. I've used emulators now. And we're old-fashioned. We still listen to music on CDs and watch movies on DVDs. We do a little streaming, but it's always kind of nice to know that if the internet's not working, we're not devoid of entertainment. We can always break out these if the streaming services are having issues. LPs, long play records, 33 and a thirds, SPs, 45 RPM. Ask your parents and grandparents about those kids if you had never heard of such a thing. This is my wife's record player, Fisher Price, of course. Fisher Price toy one. It's toy, but it actually works. It will play those records. It's amazing. She has some pretty cool memorabilia too. She can tell you a good story about this signed picture of Rebecca St. James and going to concerts. The story behind that is great. One of my favorite bands there, The Police. And my wife and I saw the Beach Boys in a concert a few years ago. Incredible concert. So good. And one of my other favorite bands there, Huey Lewis and the News. I've loved them since I was in middle school. Here's some more memorabilia from our trip. A genuine boomerang, supposedly made by an Aborigine, probably was. We actually saw this Quonset on the outskirts of Auckland on our way to Wellington. That actually is there. It's not just a joke. This Quonset shaped like a dog. It's kind of a funny little joke here that as far as New Zealanders are concerned, the Kiwis are concerned, Australia is their West Island. So funny little Kiwi joke there. Oh my gosh. And this is a magnetic dartboard. I love that thing. Now this wall, everything that's on this wall except for the dartboard and the commemorative plate of John Wayne, everything else is stuck up with tape, with painter's tape, because this wall is not covered in sheetrock. This is plaster. So it's a pain in the neck to put nails or screws into it. That's original plaster. They never put sheetrock on top of that wall for some reason. The other walls have been sheetrocked. And it's quite the little system they used. I got a glimpse of that when I replaced a couple of the plugins in the master bedroom, which I guess I never actually went into. We'll go on that real quick. Yeah, we did. My memory is still not what it should be. I am still recovering from my parathyroidectomy. That's a whole other story. You can see videos about that on my YouTube channel. Oh, this over here, this is where the clothes dryer is. We don't have to hang our clothes outside. I'm sure they probably used to back when the house was built. But as you can see, I pushed in on this. This is a little innovation by the people who sold us the house. This part of the house we're standing in now used to be an outdoor porch. And then back in the 80s, they decided to enclose it. So now that's original wall of it. No. Yeah, that's original wall over there. That's all original. And this is original wall over here. But this wall, oh wait, no. Damn it, I'm sorry. That wall's original. This wall is not. This is a new wall. New to the house anyway, and this is a new wall. You can tell which parts of the house are new on the outside because of the wood siding. And this has wood flooring, except for here. This here is concrete. This part over here is wood with laminate on top of it, so it does creak a little. I suppose one of these days we'll probably have to replace that floor. But so far, so good. This sliding door is original to the house. They just moved it over. It used to be over here in this opening. And then they took it out. It's been quite a project. I'm glad we didn't have to do such a thing. The only bad thing about them doing this, it's great because it made the house bigger. But they didn't think to put air conditioning in here. So you have to put this window unit in here. I don't know if I'll take it out this winter or if I'll just put a blanket, one of those air conditioner blanket covers over it. I think that's what I'll do. Hopefully, my little job of putting up plywood, painted plywood up here, and then covering it with this foam insulation and taping it in place with tape that's supposed to be waterproof. Hopefully that will work. I'm praying it works. It doesn't leak. So far, it hasn't leaked. Like I said, we had some monsoon rains and no water came in, so I think it can stay at least for a while. And this cabinet was already here. Oh, I was going to show you in here. I get distracted so easily, my goodness. Okay, in here we have the dryer. This is where the clothes dryer lives. It's also an old dryer, but it works. I had to replace the lint trap. The lint trap actually had holes in it. People got a little overzealous when they were cleaning it, broke it. So I was able to go online though and look up the Whirlpool make and model of my dryer and find one that fit perfectly. So that's pretty cool. This one opens in the front. These massive hinges. There's a hint right there that this is not a new dryer. Look at all that metal. There's hardly any plastic on this thing. The agitator paddles are plastic. And this part of the handle is. And the knobs. Well, even the knob's metal, actually. Everything else is metal. You don't find that anymore. Nope. This is the original. Turn this light on. There. This is the original irrigation system clock for the house. It doesn't work anymore, but they didn't take it out, and I'm going to keep it there too. I think it's pretty neat. As you can turn this little key, and it's clockwork, not digital. All clockwork. That's how old this is. That's 60s technology for you right there. That's how the irrigation in the front and backyard used to get watered. Pretty darn cool, if you ask me. I have this foam here because I noticed the wall was hot earlier this summer when it was so blessed hot outside. So I'm gradually trying to insulate this wall in here further by putting pieces of wood and foam there. Someday I might get around to doing some more of that pink insulation board instead. That would look a little better. But it's helping. This light quit working, so this is one of those funky magnetic battery-powered lights that you see on the as seen on TV and in the stores nowadays. It's not as bright as it maybe could be, but it's better than nothing. It's better than getting an electrician to fix that. I don't know what went wrong. It used to work just fine, and then one day it just quit working. That's how it goes. But it has this funky little remote control, which I've mounted over here. Anyhow, this is all built by them, by the people we bought the house from, this part. Here you can see original wall, right here. And they did that to it. It used to be, partially enclosed, kind of like a second carport, basically. And they decided to make it all the way enclosed. Those are my fantasy novels that I've read, I've collected. Mostly D&D, Dragonlance, Greyhawk Adventures, and Forgotten Realms. There's a few Dark Sun in there, and there's some other ones too. They're not D&D, like the Gore series, and some others. And then my wife is really good at sewing, so here's some of her sewing stuff. I joke that this is our mimic chest full of clothes that could come out and eat you, like a D&D mimic would do. This is really cool. It's one of the special things in the house. My father was in the Marine Corps for 2 tours in the Vietnam conflict before I was born. And those are his medals and his shoulder patch from his uniform and a flag. He's still with us, but he made this himself and gave this to us. He wanted to give it to us now while he's still with us, I thought it was a wonderful idea. He's kind of a rough, tough cowboy, but sometimes his sentimental and soft side shows through. My wife went to China many years ago before we met on a teaching thing. She can tell you all about it. That's some of the souvenirs. I keep them up around the house It's a very special time in her life to her. So I want to have mementos of that around. Here's some more of my wonderful Star Wars stuff. I built these scale models here, the X-Wing fighter and the TIE Interceptor. Put those together, and then this is my childhood Millennium Falcon, which has its own story, as you might imagine. You saw the box for it in the spare bedroom. I had to put it up someplace. It's a big deal to me. So here's where the magic happens as far as getting work done on our computers. My wife's a elementary school teacher. She does her work over here mostly. Has to do some things online these days, virtual stuff. And this is my setup over here. This is a off-the-shelf Dell computer. It's a lot more powerful than I thought it would be. Doesn't look like much, but it does more than she needs it to. She didn't want to spend much money on it, so it's fine. It works. Now, this part of the house has new windows. This has vinyl frame windows. I made these curtains myself. I couldn't find any curtains that fit the way I wanted them to when we bought the house, so I made my own. And that's not as fancy of a job as she would have done, because I did it with safety pins, but it works. And this is my computer. I built this myself from scratch, from bits and pieces. Wonderful machine. Anyway, some more Batman stuff. This is my crown jewel of my Batman collection. This is a signed Neal Adams print of Batman. This was Batman as far as I was concerned when I was a kid, when he was the lead artist for him. So I met him. That's when I met him at a convention. He signed that right in front of me. So I know that's real. You know what I mean? So let's call it good for the inside of the house. Oh, I was going to show you one more thing. It's going to be kind of a long video. Back behind the couch, behind the futon. I won't open it right now because there's too many things in the way. But there is a hatch that I have taped shut. And that hatch takes you to the plumbing for the bathroom. So you can work on the plumbing, the pipes in the bathroom without having to tear the cabinet apart. Pretty slick, huh? And then this table that our Christmas tree we've had for many years is sitting on. This came with the house. I stained it. So I sanded it and stained it and fixed it up. But this was in the storage shed outside, just languishing away. I thought it was too cool to throw away, so I kept it. And my parents have had this for decades. My dad gave this to me. It used to be half full of quarters, but it's blown glass. And it's a decanter. This comes off. They used to hold a whole lot of some kind of alcohol. Dad doesn't remember what kind anymore. This is one of our many wedding presents we still have. These nesting boxes. They're very handy for keeping Christmas decorations in. And of course, anyone who recognizes any of the video game stuff over on the other wall will recognize Link's Master Sword. Got that a few years ago. I made this myself, though. This is a shield that we got, wooden shield that we got from a thrift store, and I repainted it, and I painted this Enfield creature. It's a heraldic creature. Has the head of a fox and the tail of a fox, the body of a lion, the hind legs of the body of a hound, the hind legs of a lion, and the chest of a lion, and then the front legs of an eagle. And it's a chimera. But I've discovered over the years that our family name comes from this creature, and it comes from